All right, so this is a summary doc of all of the changes in Dawntrail for the existing jobs, not including Viper or Pictomancer. I'm just gonna take a look at this. Tank General Rampart enhanced to increase healing actions by 15% at level 94. Okay, that's an interesting change. So when you use Rampart, not only does it reduce the damage that you take, but it increases the healing that you receive by 15%. Reprisals duration increased to 15 seconds at level 98. Okay. I feel like that should just be a baseline thing. They should just make reprisal 15 seconds permanently, but okay. So it's at 98. They get, like, enhanced reprisal. Dark Knight, trait to increase potency of GCDs at 94. Increase potency of GCDs. Interesting. Alright. So that's like all of your weapon skills. Shadow Wall upgraded to Shadowed Veil at level 92. Shadowed Vigil. Let's see. 40% damage reduction. Grants Vigilance. Vigilance heals with a potency of 1200 when HP falls below 50%. Okay. I like that. I like that. That's nice. It gives you a little bit of a buffer. A 1200 potency heal is relatively strong. I'm assuming that if you use Shadow Wall when your hit points are already below 50%, it automatically procs this heal, but I've seen weirder things happen. Okay, very nice. I like that. That's a good change. I think all around, having gone through the process of healing tanks in dungeons, I would love to see more things like this where a tank can help manage their hit points more actively, particularly with Dark Knight when you don't have very good options for that right now. It should proc right away. That's what I'm guessing too. Let's see. Traits upgrade Blood Spiller and Quietus. Oh, nice. Ooh, that's good. To Scarlet Delirium and Impalement, respectively, while under the effects of Delirium at level 96. Okay. Dizzesteam. AoE GCD follow-up to Living Shadow at level 100. The Living Shadow button turns into Dizzesteam. Alright, that's cool. I like that. Living Shadow has always been kind of a fun ability for Dark Knights. Very, very signature ability that they have. It's nice to see them giving it something else. And I think I would like to see more of this, where they turn things into follow-ups of actual buttons you already pressed to avoid even more button bloat. Scarlet Delirium, Comeuppance, and Torque Cleaver. Basically Blood Spiller spam with potency increase and new paint job. Nice. Plunge has been removed. Changed to Shadow Stride, a non-damaging gap closer with 20-yard range. I have been saying this for such a long time. If you want to add mobility to a job, you have to have a skill that does no damage. It's better if it's something like Dragoon's Elusive Jump, where you can move with no restriction on having a target to which you are moving. But at the very least, it has to do no damage. Otherwise, guess what? People are just going to work it into the rotations anyway, and the utility of actually being a gap closer goes away because they're just going to use it as a damaging skill. Blood Weapon changed to 3 stacks of MP/Blood Generation. Does not grant free uses of Blood Spiller until upgraded to Delirium. Upgrades to Delirium at level 68. Okay, got it. Got it. Living Shadow no longer costs blood. Okay, so you can just use that immediately. This is a nice quality of life change. At level 100, the Carven Spit in Living Shadow's combo is replaced with Dizzesteam, resulting in a potency increase. Okay, so yeah, Living Shadow basically goes through a sequence of predetermined abilities, and this is just saying that a certain ability is replaced with this ability at level 100 when it becomes available. So Dizzesteam becomes a follow-up, and am I reading this right? That it uses it twice? So it uses it inside of its own combo, and then it becomes also a follow-up that you can then press again? Or are these two bullet points the same thing? You get a use, and the shadow gets a use. Okay, so that's 2 disesteems per living shadow. Got it. Gunbreaker. Trait to increase potency of GCDs at level 94. I'm sensing a pattern here. Okay, so this is basically for all the tanks. Nebula upgraded to Great Nebula at level 92. Okay. Great Nebula is a 40% damage reduction, increases max HP by 20%, and restores the amount increased. Okay, got it. Okay, this is another active hit point management skill. That's good. That's really good to see. Faded Circle adds effect Ready to Raise, allowing usage of continuation action Faded Brand at level 96. Okay, got it. So they added more continuation skills. Sonic Break can only be executed under No Mercy. No Mercy button changes into Sonic Break. Isn't Sonic Break their dot? And it's I guess it's this is part of the button consolidation thing, right? Effectively what they're saying is you should never use Sonic Break unless you're under No Mercy. So they're just gonna make it automatically do that for you. Okay, sure, why not? If I get to remove a button, that's fine. And then if it's, you know, I use my No Mercy, increase my damage, then I use Sonic Break immediately after that. Okay, great. The short one is Bow Shock. Okay, that's their long dot. Yes, on a long cooldown. Rough Divide has been removed, changed to Trajectory, non-damaging gap closer with 20-yard range. Yep. Okay, same as Dark Knight. Got it. I'd love to see this. This is good. That means you're actually adding mobility to classes. Bloodfist gives access to Lionheart AoE combo. Reign of Beasts, Noble Blood, Lionheart at level 100. Bloodfist button changes into these combo buttons. Okay, got it. More button consolidation. Bloodfist. Bloodfist is the ability that gives ammunition, right? And then it turns into the AoE combo immediately after that. Your empowered AoE combo. Okay, yeah. Provides 3 bullets. Got it. Paladin! Increases potency of GCDs at level 94. Shocking. Sentinel upgraded to Guardian at level 92. Guardian, 40% damage reduction. Shields for 1000 potency heal equivalents. And I see a note here that this is effectively the Blackest Night. Okay. For Gunbreaker, Lionheart doesn't use cartridges, so now you'll have some extra ones laying around after No Mercy. Got it. Makes sense. Request Scout upgraded to Imperator at level 96. Okay. Okay. Do we know what Imperator does? I don't see any details here. Blade of Honor OGCD granted after full Confiteor combo at level 100. Oh, here we go. Imperator changes to Blade of Honor when full Confiteor combo hits. So, okay, got it. So this is just basically saying you get a better version of Request Scat, and then that's part of your combo, which then changes to something else after Confiteor. Imperator is just a potency increase on Rec. Okay, got it. So it's the same ability. It just does more damage and looks different. Okay. Got it. Got it. So what I'm seeing here is you get through the whole Rec combo, and then Imperator changes to Blade of Honor after you cast Confiteor. I was sitting there thinking to myself, how are they going to change Paladin in Dawntrail? They're going to give him the ability to summon more swords, and so they did. Goring Blade can now only be executed under Fight or Flight, which is effectively the only time you wanted to use Goring Blade in the first place. So again, this is a button consolidation. I don't see any problem with this. Atonement combo is now Atonement, Supplication, Sepulcher. Not granted by straight, and it's just a straight potency buff to Atonement combo. Okay, this is just a straight potency buff to Atonement combo with a new paint job. Got it. Okay, okay, so Atonement, Supplication, Sepulcher. Paladin has retained damage on its gap closer. Wow, why? So Paladins and Warriors still have damaging gap closers. Dark Knights and Gunbreakers do not. Oh, is this... Wait a second. Is this an implication that Paladins and Warriors are considered to be the off-tanks, and so they keep their damaging gap closers because they don't need them? Live edited by Haru. Yeah, I like that. That's great. This is interesting. So, the Paladins and Warriors get to maintain their gap closers, and like I said, that effectively just means that they have more damaging OG CDs that they're going to slip into their rotations anyway. So, that's an interesting change to take it away from Dark Knights and Gunbreakers, but leave it intact for Paladins and Warriors. Warrior, increased potency of GCs at level 94. Okay. Vengeance upgraded to Damnation. I love the Warrior ability names. They all sound so impactful, you know? You think the logic is because Dark Knight and Gunbreaker already have more damaging OG CDs? Okay, sure, we'll go with that. It also, I mean, at this point it implies that Gunbreaker and Dark Knight can be considered to be more mobile because they will always have their movement skills available, having not consumed them as part of their damaging combos. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know if that's actually going to make a difference. It might not even matter at all, so it's just a note. Vengeance upgraded Damnation. Okay, Damnation is a 40% damage reduction. Reflects 55 potency when hit with physical attacks. Grants a 15-second 400 potency regen once the effect expires. The tooltip states that it grants Primeval Impulse but describes the effect of Salvation. Okay, that seems like a typo. No, that seems like a tooltip typo. Okay. Okay. Even more heals for Warriors. That's really interesting to see that they decided that they needed more free healing in the 400 potency regen. 15 seconds. That's a lot. Inner release upgraded at level 96. Fell Cleaves, and this is what every warrior plays the class for. Fell Cleaves grants stacks of Burgeoning Fury. When you get 3 stacks, you gain the Wrathful buff, which changes Inner Release to Primal Wrath, which is an AoE GCD with 70% fall off. Okay, so even more cool looking damaging abilities for warriors. Great. I mean, that's fantastic. That's like that's the whole class fantasies. They're really playing into that. Primal Ruination, AoE GCD follow-up to Primal Rend added at level 100. Okay. It's a follow-up, AoE GCD. So you've got Primal Rend, Primal Ruination, and Primal Wrath. I really get the sense that they're going for a particular kind of theme there. Swift cast reduced to 40 seconds at level 94. Well, look at that. Okay. So this is listed under Healer General, but all casters get access to Swift Cast. Is this actually all casters, or is this specifically the healer version of Swift Cast is now 40 seconds? Oh, I'm looking at these Astrologian changes. Oh no. This is going to be interesting. Okay, Astrologian. It's all casters. Okay, you just listed it here for formatting. Got it. The Astrologian. Okay, the card system rework. After having played Astrologian for weeks at this point, leveling up to 90, it's interesting to see. I'm quite invested in this section here. Astrologians will now alternate between Astral Draw and Umbral Draw every 60 seconds. Okay. Both draws restore 5% MP. These cards are played with the actions Play 1, Play 2, Play 3, and Minor Arcana. Alright, so hang on, let's count buttons here. So we now have in the current system we now have draw, undraw, redraw, and play, right? And in this new system, and we also have Minor Arcana if you want to count that. In this new system, we have draw, play 1, 2, 3, and Minor Arcana. Unless Astral and Umbral Draw are separate buttons, but I would be very surprised if that were the case. So if I count correctly, unless I can't imagine that they would keep redraw and undraw. So it's probably button neutral, right? In the number of buttons, the total number of buttons that you have access to. It's the same button for the draws. Okay, yeah. It's the same button, mutually exclusive. You're talking about the Astral and Umbral Draw. Okay, just alternates per use. Once every 60 seconds. Every time you press the button, it becomes the other one. Astral Draw draws Balance, Arrow, Spire, and Lord of Crowns all at the same time. Just boof! There you go. Balance increases target damage by 6% if melee, 3% if ranged. Okay, that's the same effect as it is now. Arrow increases target's hit point recovery through healing actions by 10%. Okay, that's interesting. This is a single target 10% hit point recovery buff. Spire grants target a 400 potency shield for 30 seconds. Lord of Crowns is a 400 potency AoE. Okay, so this is when you draw Astral. It's like physical damage or melee damage and some healing shields and AoE. When you draw Umbral, you get the ranged equivalent. 10% damage reduction for 15 seconds. 100 potency per tick regen for 15 seconds. Or a 400 potency AoE heal. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Because now I'm drawing... So the takeaway here is that they've really de-emphasized the damage buffs for Astrologian. Really de-emphasized them. So you're saying once every 60 seconds, you can, if you choose not to get any of these other things, you can... Wait, can you play all of this stuff? Or did you get to choose one thing? Do you get, like, does it light up play 1, 2, 3, and Minor Arcana? You get all 4? Because there's 4 things here. You play all of this. Okay, so, alright, so they've really de-emphasized the damage buffs. You play all of it. Okay, thank you. And they're really focusing on your healing, right? They're giving you lots of options for healing. But at the same time, like, can you imagine? You'd have to memorize all this stuff as an Astrologian. Okay, I'm in Umbral Draw, okay. What does that give me? Is that the regen? Or is that the shield? Or is that the damage reduction? And I might be in the wrong one when I really need that shield, but I've got the damage reduction in hand. You know, it's just... Yeah, wow. Okay, so this is going to be... This is going to take a little bit of time to learn, I think. Yeah. I'm very, very mixed on this right now. I like that you get all 4 cards. That's cool. I think that's great. I don't like that I get a melee card and then a ranged card once every 60 seconds. That seems unnecessarily restrictive. I don't know why they would do that. And then yeah, the Lady of Crowns, Lord of Crowns, they both basically do the same thing, but the rest of this stuff is going to be, like, a little bit difficult to manage, I think. But it's really early. We'll see if it works out. They removed Astrodyne. That's to be expected. It is slightly weird. Should be just a flat damage card that's the same for both. I agree. Yes, exactly. It should just be increases damage by 6%. Why even bother with knowing if it's a melee or ranged at that point? Right? It's only a, what is that, a 25% uptime? 25% uptime of a 6% damage buff? Like, okay, great. Just give it to everybody at that point. You know, it's just, why even deal with the 3%? Unless they, here's my guess. They did this because they really wanted to maintain the flavor of Astral and Umbral Draw. And this is not even a game mechanic thing. This is not even for, it doesn't matter. This is just, they needed 2 different cards for Astral and Umbral. And having the same effect in both would break the flavor. I'm actually pretty convinced that that's the case. This isn't even a gameplay balance thing. This is just them having to get the flavor right. Most Astrologians are saying you just save the ranged damage card until just before 2 minutes and just play it on a ranged or melee in the divination window. Yeah, that actually makes more sense. That's it. Yeah. I feel like they should really lean into that. Let's lean into that. Since we're tying so many other abilities to the damage windows, I mean, see all of the tanks, right? All of their dots now depend on them having their damage buffs up. Why not just say, this is a 3% damage buff, and this is a 6% damage buff, and you're supposed to pair it with divination. There, problem solved. Okay. They removed Astrodyne. Potency increases to Fel, Malefic, and Combust 3 at level 94. Okay, okay. Gravity is a gain on 3 instead of 2. Oh, this is interesting. Like, really, really small optimization change there. Now you need 3 monsters instead of 2 monsters. It's the same breakpoint for High Fire 2 versus Fire 4. Follow up the Divination at level 92. Oracle. AoE OGCD Divination button changes to Oracle after execution. This is cool. Give the healer a little bit more damage. Plus just another button to press after you put up your damage buff. Very cool. Aspected Helios upgraded to Helios Conjunction at level 96. Same as Aspected Helios with a potency of regen increased to 175 from 150. What? This is such a small change. Does it really necessitate changing both the name and the buff? Just what? I guess it's not a buff. Just like, why would you change the name of the ability? Just increase the potency. No one cares if it's called Helios Conjunction or Aspected Helios. I feel like if you change the name of an ability, you need to do more than just increase the potency by 25. They wanted to upgrade the VFX. Aspected Helios too, I guess, you know? Okay, so they just wanted to give it a new paint job. 3rd stack of Essential Dignity at level 98. Great, great. So, the option here, the alternative would be to just increase the potency of Essential Dignity, but I like the fact that they give us a 3rd stack. That's nice. Sun Sign available after execution of Neutral Sect for 30 seconds at level 100. So this is their level 100 ability. Okay, so use Neutral Sect. This ability becomes available. 10% damage reduction for party for 15 seconds. And more button consolidation. Neutral Sect changes to Sun Sign after execution. Is this just themselves setting up for the future expansions where they add a Moon Sign ability? That's also a follow-up to Neutral Sect. You get into this like Neutral Sect, Sun Sign, Moon Sign combo. I feel like this is the direction they're going with the ability design here. This is pretty interesting. Okay, cool. Got it. More damage reduction after you use Neutral Sect. More incentive to press this button. Scholar. Potency increases to Biolysis and Broil 4 at level 94, and Art of War is still a gain on 2 targets. Hey, nice. Yeah. I know Scholars just love... they love their Art of War. They love slapping the ground. You know, that's it, man. Follow up the Chain Stratagem added at level 92. Baneful Impaction. AoE OGCD dot. This is interesting. This is good. I think this game needs more DOTs, man. I think they went from having lots of DOTs to having almost none, and I'm glad to see them reintroducing at least some back into the game. Maybe an eclipse sign eventually? Yeah, exactly. Neutral sect, sun sign, eclipse sign. Who knows? It's not a real dot? What do you mean? Since it's tied to... Okay, I mean, you're right. It is tied to chain stratagem. So it's basically the same as... where is the change to divination this here? It's basically this, right? So if I had to guess... They're really leading into this whole... If you have an AoE buff, you get a follow-up onto it at the same time. So Astrologians get an AoE, just direct damage. Scholars get an AoE damage over time. So you're right, it's not like a dot that you can just press whenever you want, but it's still a step in the right direction. Sucker upgraded to Constitution at level 96. Same as Sucker, with the shield increased to 180 from 160. Same comments as before on that. I guess they just wanted to upgrade the graphics, and they had to give it a whole new name to do that. Recitation recast reduced to 60 seconds at level 98. Okay, Seraphism unlocked at level 100. Alright, so this is their level 100 skill. 3-minute cooldown. Mutually exclusive with Dissipation. Does not share a cooldown with Dissipation. Interesting. Okay, so you can use Dissipation, and once that's done, then you can use Seraphim, but you can't, or yeah, you can use Seraphism. So you can use Seraphism, but not at the same time. Hey Luigi, welcome. Good evening. Grants the party within 50 yards a 100 potency regen for 20 seconds. That's a long time for regen. Changes Adloquium to Manifestation. Okay. Changes Consultation to Accession. That's Sucker. Okay, so Sucker changes from Sucker to Consultation, and then from Consultation to Accession under the effects of this ability. Resets the cooldown of Emergency Tactics. And reduces the recast to 1 second during the effects of Seraphism. Wow. This is a, oh shit, we need lots of healing right now button. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, am I reading this right? You can emergency tactics every second. Manifestation and Accession have no cast time. Wow. So they're all, everything becomes instant cast. Well, not everything, but all the listed abilities here are instant cast. Is that what I'm to understand? Manifestation and Accession both have no cast time, so they're instant cast spells. Emergency Tactics becomes a 1 second cooldown. Manifestation is a stronger Adloquium. So it also increases your potency on top of all this. And Accession is a stronger Consultation, which is a stronger Sucker. That's wild. This is such a powerful ability. They rolled a lot of potency into this one button. That's very strong. Very strong. White Mage, Ethereal Shift added at level 40. 40? Okay. They gave them a movement ability on a 60-second cooldown. Alright. I guess Sages aren't the only zoom-in healers. 15-yard dash. Okay. Increases to potency for Glare 3, Afflatus Mastery, or Misery, to remain damage neutral with 4 glares, and Dia at level 94. Okay. 3x Glare 4 AoE GCD follow-up added to Presence of Mind. Button changes to Glare 4. 3? Okay. I don't understand how to parse this. If you cast Glare 4 3 times... Wait, oh, okay. So if you press... Or are you saying if you press Presence of Mind, then... Oh, I see. It turns into Glare 4 that you can cast 3 times off global... Or on global cooldown as an AoE? Presence of Mind. And you get bunches of glare. You get like glare 4. This button becomes glare 4. And you get... It's an AoE that you can cast 3 times. Okay. So Ethereal Shift is a dash, like Dancer's En Avant? Okay, got it. Medica 2 is upgraded to Medica 3. At level 96, okay. Okay, Medica 3, same as Medica 2, with a regen and increased from 175 to 150. You see, this is what I'm talking about. They just increased the number here. What's with all the other abilities changing names entirely? Just give them a number. Or do they not? Are they trying to move away from this? The numbers are too boring. They need to give them cool names, like Consultation, right? Like Sucker 2 doesn't... We don't want that. We don't want Sucker 2. We want Consultation. It sounds so much cooler. And then we're going to just make it a better ability. Second stack of Tetragrammaton. Okay, that's great. That's great. Okay. Divine Caress, Fall Up to Temperance. So this is their level 100 ability. Divine Caress is a 15-yard, 400 potency shield for 10 seconds. Once the shield expires, it leaves the target with a 200 potency per tick regen for 15 seconds. Alright, in comparison to what Scholar gets, this is a very plain button to press. It seems strong. It seems strong. But it's like, this fundamentally changes your gameplay for a while. When you press this button, and this button is just something you press when you need more healing, basically. It's very passive. Okay, time to go to Sage. Here we go. I'm gonna do my best not to butcher all these names and words. Eucrasian Decrasia added to castable abilities under Eucrasia. 40 potency per tick AoE dot. Procs Cardia. Okay, so got it. Got it. So Eucrasian Dicrasia as a small DOT. Great. At current potency, this dot is stronger than Dosis. Okay, interesting. Hey, Sketch. What if I added Subway Surfers to the bottom half of the stream? What's a Subway Surfer? You capitalized that, so I'm assuming it's a proper noun. Sage has 2 dots in the same way Scholar used to. Okay. Okay. Actually, that's really good. That's nice. I mean, it's cool. Again, I think this game needs more of that. I just wish it wasn't just on healers. Let's give the DPS a bit more of the dot management. I think that's important. Keeps people engaged during combat. Let's see. Maybe I'm just biased because I've got my Thunder dot that I love to optimize on my Black Mage. Yeah, rest in peace, Dot Summoner. New OGCD unlocked at level 92, Psyche. 600 potency AoE with 50% fall off on a 60-second cooldown. This is just a OGCD big AoE damaging ability. Potency increases to Doses 3 at 94. Decrasia 2 is now a gain on 3 instead of 2. Okay, got it. Got it. So you have to be a bit more careful about when you're AoEing versus single targeting. Soteria recast reduced to 60 seconds at level 94. I don't know what this ability is. So I can't have it. I don't really have an opinion about this. What was the old cooldown? 60 seconds from what? 90 seconds? Eucrasian Prognosis upgraded to Eucrasian Prognosis 2. Yeah, here we go. Soteria is a buff to Cardia for a couple GCDs. Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, so this is the same ability, but the shield is a little bit stronger. It's a smidge stronger. Okay. Physis 2 enhanced recovery from healing actions duration increase to 15 seconds from 10 seconds at level 98. So this is a 50% increase in duration. Now it matches the length of the regen effect. Seems logical. Okay, I don't know why it wasn't just this at the beginning, but alright. You get unlocked that at level 98. Great. New OGCD unlocked at level 100. Here's their ability. Philosophia. I think that's probably how you pronounce that. Philosophia. Increases healing magic potency by 20% for 20 seconds. Gives party eudaimonia. An AoE 150 potency per spell cardia. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. That's neat. This is a really interesting ability. It's an AoE application of cardia, so then you're just like, you use this, and then you start DPSing to heal people. You have to be very careful with this. Because if you don't have any targets to attack, this button effectively goes to waste unless you use the increased healing potency to cast direct heals. This is neat. I like this. It's the interesting part about this is just a one-line. It's a one-line ability, right? But the impact to the playstyle once you use this is actually quite dramatic. Versus White Mage's ability that at 100, which is, like I said, very passive. You just kind of like cast it and it does everything for you. This is a very active ability. You use it and then you have to cash it in. And the degree to which you cash it in is probably what will separate strong sages from weaker sages. It's a cardio that works with healing casts, not just DPS. Okay, got it. That's good. Same comment. It makes you want to cash it in. You actually have to take action here. You can't just use this ability and leave it. You have to do something after that. Melee general, feint duration extended to 15 seconds. Okay, so feint lasts longer. Second wind potency increased to 800 at level 94. Okay. Are we doing a stat squish in Dawntrail? Or are we just going to let the hit point numbers keep going up? So we have like 250,000 HP tanks by the end of the expansion. Ninja. Trait to passively increase skill speed gained at level 45. That's great. Very good. The number is just going to keep getting bigger. Yeah, that's right. In accordance with the passive skill speed gain, Huton has been revamped. It's now a 240 potency AoE Suiton, which grants hidden. Okay, so you no longer have to sit there managing your Huton gauge. I mean, it was really kind of a passive thing anyway, right? It was basically like every so often you had to just recast this one ninjutsu. So they rolled that. They said, why not just make it a passive? Rolled it into your passives at level 45, which is actually quite early. And then said, you know what? We're going to turn this into something that you actually care about. Which grants hidden. That's good. I'm always for optimizations like that. If it's just mundane maintenance of an ability, you know what? Why not just make it a passive? Take it out, replace it with something more interesting. Huton gauge replaced with Kazematoi. 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 I don't know. Something like that. Armor Crush grants 2 stacks of Kazematoi, capping at 5. 1 is spent upon executing Alien Edge, increasing its potency by 60. Okay. So this increases your damage during one of your weapon skill combos. Mug is upgraded to Doku Mori. That's good. I don't know why Mug persisted as long as it did with just the name, right? Mug. It seems very un-ninja-like. Evidently, the ninjas in chat love this modification. All right, good. So you get the same thing as Mug, but it has twice the potency, and this is at level 66. So as soon as you log in, if you're already at level 90, boom, you get a cooler looking Mug. Great. We all hate Mug. All of my bros hate Mug. General potency increases level 94. Great. Trick attack upgraded to Kunai's Bane at level 92. Again, this is good. I think changing the name here fits more with the fantasy of the ninjas. Kunai's Bane is an AoE trick attack. Ugh. Wow. Mana from heaven. Absolutely insane that it took them this long to do that. And that it's still going to be a debuff on the targets, but whatever. It's fine. 600 potency with 50% fall off instead of 300 or 400 potency rear positional. You're not sure how I feel about the new gauge? Seems kind of boring and uninspired. It's boring. I will definitely say it's a boring gauge. Yes. If the whole point of the gauge is to say, how many stacks of this thing do you have that upgrades the potency of one ability? That's... yeah. Is it better than Huton? Managing Huton? I think it's better than managing Huton. Is it a cool and interesting mechanic? I would definitely not describe it that way. Okay. I don't think ninjas ever really sucked in dungeons. All right, I don't know if I would go that far to say that they sucked. Was trick attack less useful, less broken in dungeons? Yeah. Now you can be just as broken in dungeons as you were on single target fights. Let's be clear here, all right? To be honest, it could just be stacks of a buff rather than a gauge. Yeah, but they need a gauge. But you're right. It could just be a stack of buffs. It's easier to see. For some reason, they think this is really important, and they want to call a lot of attention to it, so they added it to a meter, but it's not. It doesn't really seem that important. Like, maybe you really, really want to manage your AoE and edge potency. And that becomes very important to ninjas at some point. Maybe you want to stack this, so you can blow all of these stacks during some kind of, buff window, but, isn't AoE and edge the third weapon skill in a 3-weapon skill chain, so how many of those can you actually get off in a buff window in the first place? Okay, let's see. Higi granted for 30 seconds upon using Dokumori at level 96. Grants use of Death Frog Medium and Zesho Meppo for the duration of the effect. Upgrades to Hell Frog Medium and Bava Kakra, respectively. So Death Frog Medium. I'm still waiting for the large version. Why do they specify medium here? Is this like... does this not mean size? Does this mean something else in this context? I want the Hell Frog Gigantic is what I want, alright? Death Frog Medium is a 300 potency AoE gain on 2 versus Zesho Meppo. Okay, so this is DPS gain for targeting 2 things at once, and Zesho Meppo is a DPS gain for targeting 1 thing at once. It means like a summon. Okay. Got it. Okay, got it. So, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Tenchi Jin, AoE OGCD follow-up 10 Regen Do added at level 100. Okay. So this is just an AoE damaging skill following Tenchi Jin. Like a Witch's Medium? I've never heard Witch's Medium as a term. So my mind naturally went to size, not like a familiar. I think what we're talking about is like a familiar, right? So that's the word I would have used there. One to add the toggle that Summoner has where Hellfrog Medium will turn into Hellfrog Small. It looks cool. I like the ability. I think it's pretty well sized. It looks neat. You pop out on that frog. Dragoon, Dragon's Sight has been removed. Big sad face. That is the end of an era. Wow. Spine Shatter Dive removed. Replaced with Winged Glide. Non-damaging 20-yard gap closer with 2 charges on a 60-second cooldown. Wow. What? Did Dragoons just become the most mobile class in the game? They were pretty mobile before, but now they have a disengage and they've got 2 re-engages? Tenri Jindo replaces the Tenchi Jin ability. Okay, that makes sense. That just replaces the button. Man. 2 charges of a 20-yard gap closer. So basically, Dragoons have 100% uptime. They should. They should have remarkably close to 100% uptime in any fight. Now, I understand that in Endwalker, melee uptime hasn't ever really been a problem. But if it does become one, and it seems like they're going to add, if they're adding this kind of gap closer to the melee classes, it seems like they are thinking about making it more difficult for melee to remain in combat with their targets. Yeah. So this is a really interesting, I think, very this is a change that they wouldn't make without the intention of adding fights or adding some kind of need for this kind of mobility, right? Yeah, so the fact that they added this in, this is something to keep an eye on. Gear Skogul recast increased to 60 seconds. Is this good or bad? Everything that I've read so far seems like a buff, but this seems like a nerf? Did you watch any video on Viper yet? I haven't, no. Life of the Dragon, now activated when using Gear Skogul, now grants a 15% damage buff, effectively replacing Dragon Sight. Okay, so you use Gear Skogul, you get Life of the Dragon. Life of the Dragon grants you your 15% damage buff. Interesting. Alright, so this is 60 seconds to line up with your 2-minute DPS burst windows. Combined 2 abilities, changed the cooldown. What was the Gear Skogul cooldown before this? You heard it's better because it's less management. Some hardcore players don't like that it made it easier. Okay, let's... Final Fantasy XIV is not necessarily a super complicated game. Okay? Saying I used to press 2 buttons, now I press 1 button, therefore it's making it easier is just... That's not a position I can actually get behind. Gear Skogul was a 20-second cooldown. Got it. Okay, so they really increased the cooldown in that case. I think I said it was 90 seconds? Increased from 90 seconds to 60 seconds. It increased in the negative direction. Means you have another global cooldown to use it in another way. Yeah. I was directly responding to the hardcore players not liking it because it makes things easier. Let's see. Life of the Dragon now grants 3 stacks of Nistrand. Nistrand recast reduced to 2 seconds. Interesting. Dragon Eyes effect removed from Mirage Dive. What is this? What's the Dragon Eyes effect? Drake's Bane combo action added. Alright, so they added a brand new combo action. 440 potency GCD. Dragon Eyes is how you got into Life of the Dragon before. Okay, so they took this away from this and added it here to this now 60-second cooldown. Upon execution of Fang Claw or Wheeling Thrust, these 2 GCDs change into Drake's Bane. Okay, so this means that... Yeah, okay, so this is... I thank you for the note here. This basically means that both of the combo action, like the weapon skill combos, end in the same thing. They end in the same ability. Fang and Claw, Wheeling Thrust will no longer be back-to-back, resulting in 1 less positional requirement per cycle. Cool. You needed to accumulate 2 eyes to get into Life of the Dragon before. Now Gear Skogul just puts you straight into it. Okay. Okay, general potency increases. Rise of the Dragon, follow up the Dragon Fire Dive, added at level 92. Okay. Rise of the Dragon is a 550 potency AoE buff, or AoE attack with a 50% fall off. So you Dragon Fire Dive, and then you Rise of the Dragon. Dragon Fire Dive is my favorite ability for Dragoons. So this is actually really cool for me. I love pressing that button. It just, like, it's so impactful. You got the the big explosion, the scream, and then now there's a follow-up on top of that. I'm excited for that. It may not even really be the most important change, but this is going to be one of the most fun ones, I think. Vorpal Thrust and Disembowel. Upgraded to Lance Barrage and Spiral Blow at level 96. Same ability, new paint job. Okay. Starcross AoE OGCD. Oh, so this is the level 100 ability. Is a follow-up to Stardiver. Starcross AoE OGCD, follow-up to Stardiver. Interesting. Okay. So just more AoE damage. Reaper. I like all these changes, by the way. I think this is very positive for Draco. I like that they're... I mean, I know that everyone's sad that Dragon Sight has been removed, but once they took the chain away, it was already pretty much removed from the game. The chain was like the big thing. That was the whole appeal of pressing Dragon Sight. Was watching that graphic. Let's see, Reaper. General potency increases at level 94. When using Enhanced Harp, after using Hell's Ingress or Egress, reduces the cooldown of Ingress or Egress by 5 seconds. Oh. That's interesting. I mean, you already have a pretty, like, strong incentive to press this button. Since if you're using Hell's Egress, then, generally speaking, you need at least a GCD to wait before you go back in. But now they've made it so that this also reduces the cooldown of your movement abilities, so there's even more reason to press that. Without the chain, what's even the point of Dragon Sight? Exactly. Harp now grants 10 soul gauge. Interesting. Harvest Moon now grants 10 soul gauge. Okay. Plentiful Harvest no longer grants 50 shroud and allows for direct usage of Enshroud for 30 seconds. So you press this button and... I mean, you could already enter Enshroud with 50, but they just changed this. You no longer get Shroud gauge. You just go straight into Enshroud. Enshroud adds Effect Ablatio for 30 seconds at level 92. Changes Gluttony to the AoE OGCD Sacrificium, which can only be executed while under the effects of both Enshrouded and Ablatio. Okay. So it's just it's an AoE OGCD from Gluttony. If Gluttony is on cooldown, can you still press this button? You have to be enshrouded to cast that. Okay. Gluttony grants usage of Executioner's Gibbet, Executioner's Gallows, and Executioner's Guillotine. You believe the Gluttony cooldown doesn't matter for Ablatio. I mean, that makes sense. That would really be awkward to have to wait for it to come off cooldown before you press this button. Right? Like, I don't want to enshroud just yet because my Gluttony's not off cooldown, so I can use my big AoE OGCD. So, I do have a question for those that have looked at this before. If Enshroud adds Ablatio for 30 seconds, what's the point of saying that you have to be both Enshrouded and in Ablatio for this? Is this just to say that if you Enshroud and then wait for 30 seconds, you can no longer cast this ability? Doesn't... Okay, that seems a little bit odd that they would have to make that specification. Like, add a duration onto that? Is it common to be in the enshrouded state for more than 30 seconds so that you would lose this? I feel like they could have just gotten rid of... They could have just consolidated this into you have to be in the enshrouded state. If it already gives you both. Okay. Stronger versions of Gibbet, Gallows, and Guillotine. Alright, cool. So just get new abilities. Same thing, more potency, probably different graphics, level 96. Enshroud is 30 seconds? Yeah, okay, so got it. So they're saying you have to... This gives you both buffs for the same amount of time, and you have to have both buffs to use this other ability. Right, okay, thank you. Perfectio. This is their level 100 ability. Perfectio is an AoE GCD, a follow-up to Communio. Okay, Plentiful Harvest grants effect of Perfectio Parata for 30 seconds. Plentiful Harvest changes to Perfectio upon execution of Communio while under the effect of Perfectio Parata. So you use Plentiful Harvest, and then the next 30 seconds, if you use Communio, you can follow it up with the Perfectio. Okay. Got it. That's, sometimes it takes me a second to really parse, because I know this is basically how the tooltip is written. The way that Final Fantasy XIV works is it relies on a lot of buffs that it applies to you to determine your current state. So, which abilities you have access to and which ones you don't. So they have to add. This button grants you this throwaway effect that lasts for 30 seconds and appears nowhere else in the game. And while you're under the effect of this effect, you can use this other ability, and all this other stuff happens. And then once that effect wears off, or you press the button, you end up using the effect, then it goes away. Yeah, right, exactly. The takeaway here is Communio has a follow-up called Perfectio, and you should use it when you're in the enshrouded state. So use Communio and then use Perfectio, and that's it. Great. Samurai, Shellha 2 removed. Whatever shall I do? Shellha is now an AoE. Wow. That's great. They consolidated this into just one ability. That's fantastic. Good. Good. I'm glad they did that. Third Eye upgrades it to Tengetsu at level 82. Tengetsu is the same effect as Third Eye, but it grants you Tengetsu's Foresight, which restores HP. Okay. Okay. Got it. Didn't Third Eye already grant you hit points if it was consumed? Or was it just... No, it just gave you extra Kinky, right? So now, if it's consumed, it gives you Kinky plus hit points. Got it. That's actually really good. Okay, there's a little bit of a survival. Not too big of a deal, but might be nice. Tsubame Geishi can no longer be used to repeat Higanbana. Oh, right. So, if you used Tsubame Geishi, you could put 2 Higanbana dots on the target. I forgot all about that. So now they're saying you can have a max of 1 Higanbana dot, no matter what you do. Potency increases at level 94. Hakaze upgraded to Gyofu at level 92, which is the opener for all of your combos. High potency, new paint job. Okay. Seine and Guren recast reduced to 60 seconds at level 94. What's the current cast time? What's the current recast time for Guren? Is it in like 3 minutes? It's pretty big. From 2 minutes. Okay, so this halves the cast time. Seine and Guren reduce to 60 seconds from 120 seconds at level 94. Nice, nice, okay. No, you're right, Sketch, yes. They removed the option to have a second dot from Samurais. Now you can only have 1 dot, that's it. I mean, whatever, that's fine. I feel like this is a bug anyway. I don't think they ever thought you would use Tsubame Geishi to do anything but duplicate the big one. I forget what the big Midari Setsugeka. You would never use it to repeat anything but Midari Setsugeka. And then some clever samurais were like, you know what? Let's just put 2 dots on there. That's even better. So They had to fix that. Well, great. I'm glad that you're getting something out of this too. Let's see. At level 100, Meikyo Shisui upgrades to Tenka Goken. Upgrades Tenka Goken to Tendo Goken. Okay, so this is the ability that gives you 3 Sen. Upgrades your Tenka Goken to Tendo Goken and Midari Setsugeka to Tendo Setsugeka. Oh, okay. Stronger Tenka and Midari, respectively. Tsubame Geishi follow-ups are also enhanced. Okay, okay. Midari Setsugeka is probably one of my favorite abilities in the game. I at one point considered playing Samurai just to get access to this ability. You'd also copy Tenka in dungeon pools? Okay, you're right. You're right. I should have been clearer. I think that they didn't think that you were going to copy the Higanbana dot. And you'd use it just to increase your AoE or your single target, depending on which situation you were in. Okay, cool. So Meikyo gives you access to harder hitting versions of your Midare, your AoE and single target abilities, and then Tsubame Geishi follow-up is also enhanced. So this is interesting. So your Meikyo and your Tsubame, are they already synchronized in terms of recast time? Because you'd 100% want to use your Tsubame Geishi to copy your Tendo whatever, right? Either your AoE Tendo or your single target Tendo. I can't think of a situation where you wouldn't want to do that. Unless you really mess up your alignment somehow. Wonder if Sam will take back the title of highest potency ability from Nin. Yeah, right now it's Bavakakra, right? Meikyo and Tsubame are both 2 charge 60 seconds. Wow. Really? 2 charges, 60-second cooldown on each? That's really strong. Hyosho, 1760. It's Hyosho Ranryu. Okay, yeah, alright, thank you. That was the ability that's actually the ability I was thinking of, but I got the name wrong. Hyosho Ranryu. Okay, monks. Removed Leaden Fist. Alright. Whew, that's a lot of changes. Dragon Kick, Twin Snakes, and Demolish. Original effects removed. So they're doing a complete rework of Monk again? Is Monk the second most changed class in the game outside of Astrologian? I feel like every time I read about monks, they've 100% reworked them. Like, what? Okay. So they got rid of all the original effects of all of these abilities. This one used to be a damage buff. This one used to be a dot. I forget what this one was, but yeah, okay. Replaced with 1 Opal buff. Replaces Leaden Fist. 2 Raptor buffs. And 3 Coral buffs, respectively. Great. Good. These all just give 100 potency to their corresponding GCD. Boot Shine, True Strike, and Snap Punch. Okay. Great. Does this mean they no longer have a dot to manage? So they got rid of the dot that monks had and replaced it with a higher potency single target attack? Steel Peak added as a low-level variant of the Forbidden Chakra at level 15. For some reason I thought this was already there. Executed from Steeled Meditation, upgrades to Forbidden Meditation, level 54. Okay, so they gave him a lower-level version of their AoE combo. Now able to hold up to 10 stacks of chakra. Okay. Okay. How many stacks of chakra can you handle? How many can you hold? Let's see. Howling Fist added as a low-level variant of Enlightenment at level 40. Executed from Inspired Meditation, upgrades to Enlightened Meditation, level 74. So, if I'm reading this right, this is something that I wish they would do across most classes, is align lower-level gameplay with higher-level gameplay, so that I don't have to necessarily relearn my class if I'm in a level 40 dungeon versus a level 70 dungeon, right? So, yes, the gameplay at level 70 is expected to be more complex. But I shouldn't have to sit there and think to myself, okay, so I'm half the level that I was. That means I press this other set of buttons in this other order, versus when I'm level 70 and I have to, like, do this big mental shift to remember how to play my class with the other abilities I now have access to. So it looks like they're aligning things here a bit. It's very similar to, I think Summoner might be a good example of this. Summoner effectively just makes things, it builds on itself now, right? It builds on itself in a very natural fashion. Becomes more and more complex, but the fundamental gameplay is very similar between low level and high level summoners. You use the same abilities, but they tend to do more powerful things. Let's see. Six-Sided Star uses all chakra upon execution. So it's a base of 780 plus 80 per chakra, which is 10 chakras. So you get 1580. Crit with Six-Sided Star no longer opens chakras. Got it. That's a lot. That's a huge potency. Reaper, when you sink below level 80 and you're basically not playing your class, or Astrologian, when you sink below level 30, you can't draw cards. Like, what? Yeah, these are some real basic things that play into the class fantasy. Give me a break here, right? Help me out. Earth's reply effect of Riddle of Earth renamed to Earth's Resolve with the same region effect. Earth's reply turned into its own button. Okay. Okay. So Earth's reply is now an AoE 300 potency heal. 500 potency if still under the effect of Earth's Resolve. So they really want you to press this button. And a 500 potency heal is pretty small, but it's not nothing, right? It can really help out sometimes. Increased potency to abilities, Boot Shine, True Strike, Snap Punch, and Elixir Field upgraded to all this other stuff. Leaping Oppo, Rising Raptor, Pouncing Quarrel. Oh, this is good. So you have you have a clue now in the name of the ability. This is good. You have a clue in the name of the ability, what you need, or what benefits it, right? You don't need to just remember that Boot Shine gives you Stance of the Monkey. And True Strike gives you Strength of the Cougar. Now you know. I have Leaping Oppo. And what do we see up here? You get the Oppo buff from these abilities. You get the Oppo buff, consume it using the Oppo ability. Great. A+. Elixir Burst, level 92. Good. Makes the whole class a bit more legible at that point. Follow-up to Riddle of Wind added at level 96, Wind's Reply, which is a line AoE GCD. So this, if anybody here is familiar with Final Fantasy Tactics, monks had a big line AoE. It's interesting to see them added to this game. You wish you had the Strength of the Cougar? Hey man, there's always time. There's always time. Get started right now, and eventually that'll be you too. Speed of the Horse. Does anybody remember Lone Star? Is that what the name of that cartoon was from the, like, 80s? About a space cowboy who could channel the spirit of animals to give himself supernatural abilities. Vision of the Hawk. Earth's Reply is a pretty neat utility for a DPS. Yeah, yes, exactly. So now we've got three different kinds. We've got Earth's Reply, Wind's Reply, and Fire's Reply, right? So we've got a line AoE. I'm guessing this is a point blank AoE. Grants Formless Fist, replaces Riddle of Fire. Okay, so this is interesting. So I feel like they made this a lot more, made this class a lot more follow-up attack driven, and the utility is what I'm looking at here as well, right? They built more utility into it. Does it still have mantra? I think somebody asked in chat. I don't see that listed here, so I'm going to go ahead and say yes. They didn't list that they removed it, so we'll trust that it didn't go away. Physical ranged general. Okay, now we're on to the physical ranged classes. Second wind potency increased to 800 at level 94. Okay, second wind is now a bigger heal. AoE mitigation efficacy for Troubadour, Shield Samba, and Tactician. Increased by 50%. 215 from 10 at level 98. Wow. Okay, so that means that there's two things. We're going to have harder hitting AoEs, and the physical ranged will have more responsibility to make sure that they use their AoE mitigation properly. This is a big jump. This is a really big jump. 50% increase, so keep that in mind. You think the fire reply is a ranged AoE? Ranged AoE? What is a ranged AoE GCD? Wait, so... Okay, I think I see. The monk is not in melee range and can use it to AoE a pack across the map? Okay, that's interesting. Is that useful? I'm confused by that one. I'm just wondering how often a monk is going to be disengaged from an AoE pack. To really use that. It's neat because monks don't currently have any ranged options. Alright. Can be useful for forced disconnects and also centralizing the AoE when you have to move out of damage or something. If you have to, yeah, right. If you really want to continue DPSing, if you're forced to move away from a pack, then you can still have at least one thing that you can do. All right, you have a button to press. Bard. Songs no longer require a target. Great. Good. Pitch Perfect is now an AoE. Wow. That's big. That's big. That's a really good quality of life upgrade for bards right there. Is this... I don't see a level added. Is just a flat, like, now forever, once you have Pitch Perfect, it's always an AoE? That's great. It's not an upgrade. They just changed the whole ability. Heavy Shot and Burst Shot, Quick Knock and Laden Spite now grant Hawk's Eye instead of Straight Shot and Shadow Bite ready. When Hawk's Eye procs, either Straight Shot and Refulgent Arrow or Wide Volley and Shadow Bite can be used. Okay, so this is your single target versus your AoE. Your single target and AoE have a chance to grant you this ability, which gives you an upgraded version of your single target and AoE. Okay. Quick Knock has a higher chance than single target GCDs of proccing Hawk's Eye, between the levels of 25 and 76. Due to a trait unlocked at 25 that increases Quick Knock's proc chance to 35%. Single target GCDs do not gain a similar trait until level 76. That's funny. I don't think that actually like materially changes anything about how you would use these abilities, but it's good to know that there's a higher chance for the AoE version for a period of time. Now and forever. That's fantastic. Low-level variant of Shadow Bite, Wide Volley added at level 25. Good. Good. I like to see this. Let's see more of it. Potency increases at level 94. Bloodletter upgraded to Heartbreak Shot at level 92. Potency increases, new paint job. Okay. So they just upgraded the potency, gave it a different animation. I used to play Bard as my main job, and I think Bloodletter was my favorite button to press on this. Because it was just it was an interesting thing that would come up every now and then, and I'd have to constantly monitor that to make sure I was using it properly. Follow up to Barrage at level 96, Resonant Arrow. So this Barrage Arrow, Resonant Arrow, AoE GCD replaces the Barrage button. Okay, got it. Got it, all right. So you Barrage, and then you Resonant Arrow, and it's just an AoE GCD. So I'm getting the sense that there's a lot of built-in AoE into the Bard's Toolkit. Pitch Perfect, built-in AoE. Resonant Arrow, built-in AoE. At level 100, you get a follow-up to Radiant Finale, Radiant Encore, also an AoE. Scales damage based on the amount of coda consumed by Radiant Finale, replaces the Radiant Finale button. Nice. Okay, so there's some incentive here to play the class well, to increase the amount of coda that you have available to consume to increase the potency of Radiant Finale. Alright. Alright. Solid changes to Bard all around, I would say. You're down for upgrades to Bloodletter because the animation is very subtle. Yeah, the animation was never very punchy. It was always very subtle. Heavy Shot chance to proc is 20% until it's upgraded to 35. Why don't they reduce the... Oh, why? Okay. Is it critical that single target GCDs not have a 35% chance until level 76? I feel like they could easily move this or remove this and just say that all of them have an increased chance at level 25. It's probably an oversight. Yeah, just get rid of this. Like, why this does not need to exist. Just get rid of that, combine the two, move it to level 25, make bards happy. Why not? Dancer, okay, potency increases level 94, follow up to standard finish at level 92, last dance, AoE GCD. It does not replace standard step. This is another button, whole other button, because of finishing move. Follow up to flourish added at level 96. AoE OGCD grants standard step to self and partner. Allows execution of last dance. Both standard step and finishing move give you last dance. Think about the power creep that'll happen in Hawk Manor if they had 35% that early. Yeah, I mean, oof, we gotta watch out for those bard farming groups in Hawk Manor just plowing through that content with their obviously very OP single target attacks. Yep, you're right. Man. We have to be very careful about that. The lower level balance might throw the whole game off. Alright. Finishing move. Standard step button is replaced with finishing move upon execution of flourish. Okay. So you follow up with flourish. Let's see. Standard step and finishing move give you last dance. So you finish your standard step, which gives you last dance, which you can use. And then you finishing move, which gives you last dance again. And then you can use that again. Huh. Okay. So you get 2 charges of this, basically. Finishing move, last dance, and flourish, or flourish, last dance? Yeah, okay. Finishing, or I'm getting all these names mixed up. Standard finish, last dance, finishing move, last dance. Got it. Okay, that's interesting. Huh. It's not very last if that's the case. Last dance. Last dance 2. Let's just call it that. Additional 30-second buff, Dance of the Dawn. Added to technical finish at level 100. Changes Saber Dance to Dance of the Dawn for restoration, potency increase plus paint job. So you just get an extra... Whenever you use technical finish, you get a better version of Saber Dance for 30 seconds. Okay, subtle, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Last Dance 2, Dance Harder. Exactly. Machinist, barrel stabilizer no longer increases gauge and just gives you hypercharge. Alright. Okay. Heat Blast upgraded to Blazing Shot at level 68. Ooh. That's actually pretty good. Heat Blast is a pretty boring looking ability, so yeah, let's give it a fresh update. Why not? General Potency increases at level 94. Gauss Round and Ricochet upgraded to Double Check and Checkmate at level 92. Okay. Why? Are we trying to say that Double Check and Checkmate are more... Oh, I was like, why do they do this? There's no way that those two names are more in line with the Machinist fantasy than Gauss Round and Ricochet. There's no way that, like, these two things are less in line than these two things, but they're really playing into the whole Queen bot aspect. Is that it? You get the rook, you get the queen, you get the double check and checkmate. So machinists are just big chess players now. They're huge chess fans, so they're trying to change their whole personality to just be that. There was a bishop turret, yeah. So there were two turrets, rook and bishop. One was like single target, one was AoE. If I remember correctly, this was a long time ago. So you got the queen. But it could have stopped there. Now we're getting rid of Gauss Round and Ricochet because we don't think that those are machinist enough. I'm telling you, the next thing to change is going to be the class name. So all of you folks in there saying that this is fine, you've got to be ready for that, okay? Chess Master. Boom. It's the natural conclusion. Yeah, hang on a second. Give me a second, Domino. It was already in the chat. Let me pin this. There you go. Yeah, this is perfect. And it was put together by Haru Yoshino in the chat right now. Make Machinist the weird chess job so the next physical range can be Ranger. There you go. There you go. I like it. Make them into the weird chess fans so the next physical range can be Ranger. The class that I was really interested in playing when I first started playing Final Fantasy XIV, Ranger. Yeah, thank you, Domina. I agree. I'm really... This is great. This is exactly what I needed. Now I can search this and check it out anytime I want. Okay. One more charge of Drill and Bioblaster at level 94. Which I think is desperately needed to make the class not quite so rigid. Crossbows are an available weapon type in Final Fantasy XIV. Wait, what? There's a crossbow... There's a weapon for machinists that looks like a crossbow? It's gotta be like an auto crossbow or something, right? It seems a little low-tech. Follow up the chainsaw at level 96, Excavator. Please tell me that this is actually what it sounds like. You summon like a giant dirt-moving machine. And it destroys your enemies for you. AoE GCD increases battery gauge by 20 and replaces the chainsaw button. So it's just a fun thing to press. Okay. Nice AoE damaging ability. Gives you extra gauge. Okay. And then at level 100, you get a follow-up to Barrel Stabilizer. Full Metal Field. What does this mean? Auto C/DH? Auto crit direct hit. Okay, thank you. Auto crit direct hit. So once you press this button, it does maximum damage. AoE GCD. To everything. Whoa. Replaces Barrel Stabilizer. And it gives you a buff called Full Metal Machinist. What? It's a little tongue-in-cheek, isn't it? But, okay. Full Metal Field makes you into a Full Metal Machinist. Auto crit direct hit AoE GCD. That's a powerful button to press. That's really strong. You use Barrel Stabilizer, and then you get an auto crit Auto crit, direct hit, AoE. Machinists are going to be pretty strong. Sounds like in Dawntrail. Very strong. Well, I can't wait to get to the Black Mage changes. I cannot wait. It's the one that has the missiles coming out of the backpack. Nice. Crossbows are not... It's a weapon type that's not currently being used, so they could theoretically give it to Rangers. I'm in. I'm in. Let's do it. I want a Ranger. In Final Fantasy XIV. If you have the maxed Alchemist skill, do you get to be a full metal alchemist? Yes, you get to be whatever you want to yourself to be. Whatever you call yourself, that's it, man. If you want to be the full metal alchemist, that's it. You're in. You don't even need to be max level. You just have to have the job unlocked. Swift cast reduced to 40x. 40 seconds at level 94. Okay, Addle duration increased to 15 seconds. I was notorious for not using Addle when I played Black Mage, so good. I'm glad they buffed this so I can get yelled at even harder when I don't use it. Umbral Ice now grants MP when ice spells hit instead of increasing mana regen per tick. This is such a good change. This is so good, and I'll tell you why. I've said this before on stream. It vastly increases the value of spell speed, because now spell speed also increases the mana regen that you have. Domina, thank you for the 100 bits. Domina says, the true changes are the friends we made along the way. Okay. Sounds good to me. This is it. Okay, the second reason why this is such a strong and good change is it removes all those awkward situations that you can get into where you're in Umbral Ice, but you're not quite in Umbral Ice long enough to get the 2 ticks of MP that you need to grant you maximum mana, maximum MP, so they enter Astral Fire with a full MP bar, right? Now you are 100% in control of how much MP you have when you enter Astral Fire. And as you stack higher and higher spell speed, you no longer have to worry about that whole thing where you're not in Umbral Ice long enough. So suddenly, spell speed, which I think is one of the most fun abilities in the game, or stats in the game, suddenly spell speed becomes extremely powerful for Black Mage. And I am 100% on board for this. Ice spells cast in Umbral Ice no longer cost MP and regenerate this amount of MP upon hit depending on level of Umbral Ice. Sharpcast has been removed. Good. Thank you. Wow, I was so bad at making sure to actually press this button. And they kept adding more charges to it. It's like, what are you doing? And they're reducing the cooldown, adding more charges. Like, clearly they want us to press it, but okay, great. Just make it a bit easier for us, please. Yeah, Sharply Dressed Man cast has been removed. Alright, so ice spells. I didn't think they actually cost any MP to cast when you're in Umbral Ice. I'm pretty sure they don't. Because actually, I'm 100% positive they don't. Because if you cast Despair, you're at 0. You cast Blizzard 3. Maybe it's that they don't cost mana when you're in Astral Fire. I don't know. Whatever. This is good. We'll just stop that. Stop there. This is a good change. I have to keep it on my bars for remembrance? Yes, I will absolutely do that forever. All thunder spells are now instant cast and do not cost mana, but can only be cast under the effects of Thunderhead, which you gain by switching from Astral Fire to Umbral Ice. Is there any dependency here on the number of Astral Fire stacks or Umbral Ice stacks? So if I just press Transpose, I get a charge of Thunderhead, no matter what. And the reason I ask is you don't necessarily get Paradox. You don't get Paradox unless you're at maximum stacks of Astral Fire. Or maximum stacks of Umbral Ice. I think. At least it was that way for a while. Okay. So you get Thunderhead when you change from Astral Fire to Umbral Ice. Or vice versa. Which allows you 1 free spellcast of Thunder. No limitation, just when you stance change. Got it. Or even going from neutral to either. That's actually really important. Thank you for calling that out. If you go from no stance to Astral Fire or Umbral Ice, you get Thunderhead, which is very important for when you're actually starting the fight. Okay, thank you for that clarification. So as soon as you cast Fire 3 or Ice or Blizzard 3, you get a stack of Thunderhead, which allows you to cast Thunder for free. You still have Kaiten on your bar? Kaiten was a really, really good ability. I always thought it looked awesome. I'm sad that they removed it. Okay. So this is really interesting. Basically, they're saying Sharp Cast now always applies, because this is when I would use it anyway, effectively. I would press that button when I went from Astral Fire to Umbral Ice. I would, like, reflexively use Sharp Cast to catch my next Thunder. Or Fire 1. Ice version of Paradox removed. Okay. Okay. This is another interesting change, because I would use the Ice version of Paradox as a free movement ability, but as folks that watch my stream know, I think Black Mage needs less movement abilities. I wasn't a real fan of the 2 charges of triple cast thing, so interesting, they're trading this. But you do get a free, you do always get a free cast of Thunder whenever you change from one to the other. So you have effectively a guaranteed 1 GCD free move anytime you're in either stance. Fire Paradox is now instant cast. Okay. Okay, so they moved this to here. So now you have more movement in Astral Fire than you do in Umbral Ice. Black Mage gets so much movement to make up for Yoshi P's tiny feet. They get tons of it, man. They're so mobile. Paradox now grants a guaranteed proc of Firestarter. Okay, so exactly what we're talking about. Sharpcast is basically now applied all the time to the spells to which it would previously apply if you had it up. Umbral Soul, in addition to granting Umbral Ice and an Umbral Heart, gives back mana when you cast it, depending on level of Umbral Ice. So this is one of the things that I was curious about. Thank you for answering this. The only drawback to this sort of change would be, what if I don't have a target to attack, right? If I don't have a target to attack with my ice spells to get back MP, well, I'm kind of stuck. You do this. You use Umbral Soul. It's the exact same as before. Black Mages is just spamming Umbral Soul to get back their MP. And this is effectively, once you get to 3 stacks of Umbral Ice, it gives you back your whole MP bar. Mana Font is now a full fire phase reset. Grants full mana. 3 Umbral Hearts, Astral Fire 3, Thunderhead, and Paradox. Is this like a global change? There's no upgrade here? You just... Mana Font now does this at all levels? This is so good. Mana Font has always been kind of a real disappointing ability. Because all it did, effectively, was give you 1 more cast of Fire 4 and 1 more Despair. And that was it. This, changing it to this, means that I am now excited. I am pumped to press this button. I really like this change. This is a really good change. Not only does it grant you more damage, but suddenly it goes from being a kind of meh. Now I get like 1 extra flare, or I get 1 extra Despair and a Fire 4 kicker at the end of my fire phase, to I get to just blast everything. Right? Fantastic. No upgrade. This is just what it does now. Umbral Soul is unlocked in the 70s, so it might make downtime in the 70 ultimates a bit awkward. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know when Umbral Soul is... when you actually get that. If you're talking about like UCOB might be a bit awkward now during downtime for black mages. Thunder and Thunder 4 upgraded to High Thunder and High Thunder 4 at level 92. Okay. Okay, just bigger versions. Umbral Soul is level 76. They need to fix that. They need to fix that. They need to make it like level 70 or level 60. When do you get access to Enochian? It should come when you get Enochian. That's when you should get Umbral Soul. Just give it to them at the same time. Enochian increases to magic damage from increase to 30% at level 96. Alright, so another passive damage buff from Enochian. Enochian is 56. Yeah, just do it there. What's the drawback? There's no reason why it shouldn't be that way. Retrace action added. Retrace. Retrace relocates your ley lines to your current position. Replaces the ley lines button. Thanks for the clarification. So Enochian is another 7% damage buff. Passive. Okay, you get to relocate your ley lines once. I'm curious to see when and under what circumstances they want you to press this. The implication here is that there's going to be more abilities that they're going to give the bosses, or in the game, add to the game in general, that you would need to actively think about this. Because right now, the way that black mages deal with this is that they have to be very intelligent about where they place their ley lines to, like, increase the chances that they can spend as much time in them as possible. Effectively, the way I interpret this is that will no longer be the case. Or they're going to make it much more difficult for you to do that. So they gave you the ability to directly replace them. A third stack of Polyglot at level 98. Great. More Xenoglossy, more foul. Healers will still adjust. Some things will never change. Astral's Soul Gauge unlocked at level 100. Ooh. Fire 4 grants 1 stack. Flare grants 3 stacks. Caps at 6 stacks. 6 stacks. Okay, so you cast 6 Fire 4s or 2 Flares in your AoE rotation, right? New action at level 100. Flare Star. AoE GCD can only be executed at 6 stacks of Astral Soul. So okay, so this is interesting. Do you know what the mana cost is of this? Is it free? It would have to be free. And the reason I say that is 6 stacks when Fire 4 grants 1 stack apiece. You already cast 6 Fire 4s in your fire rotation and a Despair, which leaves you at 0, right? So the only way that you'd actually be able to cast this in fire phase is if it was free. I want Flare Star to flashbang grenade the group. That's great. No mana cost, 350 potency. 60% fall off. Ooh, that's big. 60% fall off is big. For an AoE spell of this magnitude, that's nice. So it's a finisher. And I've talked about this before. Back in Shadowbringers, when they introduced Despair, Black Mages celebrated because we were always stuck throughout Stormblood. When we were in our fire phase, we would cast 6 Fire 4s, and we would have like a little bit of mana left over in our mana bars. That really wouldn't do anything, and was there because it was a leftover of needing mana to get back into Umbral Ice phase. So when Shadowbringers introduced Despair, finally we could actually use this ability to get rid of that extra mana that we had in our fire phase to add more damage to a single target. And now, the way I'm reading this is, you use your 6 Fire 4s, you use your Despair, and then you also have another finisher after that. So you've got your Despair as your Fire Phase finisher, and then you've got Flare Star as your Fire Phase finisher after you're done with it. 3-second base GCD? What the? I'm changing the universe to match my will? What do you mean? But I'm saying it's no mana cost and suddenly it is? 3-second base cast time. Oof, wow. So you really have to commit. High potency, long cast time. Yikes. Red mages. Manification no longer grants gauge and just allows execution of 3 melee abilities for free. You have to, you basically have to use flare, or swift cast there. Or the third charge of triple. So you'd be like, Fire 4, triple, Fire 4, Despair, Flare Star. Fire 4, oh, I get it. Fire 4, Fire Starter, triple during the GCD, Fire 4, Despair, Flare Star. Or you could do something, if you don't have triple available, Fire 4, Despair, Fire Starter, Swift Cast, Flare Star. This is why everyone got a 40-second Swift Cast, because Yoshi P wanted it for Flare Star. There you go. I mean, I don't disagree. Sounds good, Domino. Okay, so red mages get 3 melee abilities for free when they use Manification. Okay. Okay, that's a powerful change. Enchanted Millenay, mana requirement reduced to 2020. From, this was I think 33? Or 30? You could only use this 3 times, I think. 25, 25. Okay. Okay, so this went from 4 uses at max to 5 uses at max. Jolt 2 upgraded to Jolt 3. Hell yes. Let's go. At least it's not Jolt 2 upgraded to some other random name that they invented specifically for this. Extra potency. Cooler graphic. Great. General potency increase at level 94. Alright. Follow-up to Embolden. Oh, nice. Okay. Vice of Thorns, which is AoE OGCD and replaces Embolden once used. So everybody gets these follow-ups to their AoE buffs. Right? So you use Embolden, you get an AoE OGCD. I think that's great. I like that change. It's not something I expected to see, but they've clearly really leaned into it, since I think that they've replaced every single incident of an AoE buff with a OGCD follow-up. Follow-up to Acceleration at level 96. Grand Impact. That's an impressive name. Instant Cast AoE GCD replaces both Jolt 3 and Impact upon execution of Acceleration. Nice. Nice. Grand Impact. Not Impact. What was it, like Heavy Impact or Big Impact? Grand Impact. There was another instance where they replaced something like that, but it was like, I don't know, they just high. That's right. For black mages, they make the spells high versions of the previous spell. Red mages get grand versions. Grand Impact's VFX is very cool. Grand Nebula. Cool. Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. I haven't watched the video, by the way. I don't know what any of these things look like. Alright, so that's a follow-up to Acceleration. You get Grand Impact, which replaces both your other spells that would normally be cast, Jolt being your single target, Impact being your AoE. And then at level 100, you get a follow-up to Manification. Consumes all stacks of Manification. You get Cineration. Not Incineration, that'd be too mundane. You just get Cineration. AoE OGCD replaces Manification. Okay. This is actually interesting. There's a lot of AoE they added to red mages here. Right? Enchanted Millenay. So this is their melee AoE, if I remember right. You can use this more often. You get bigger AoE from Acceleration. Embolden adds an AoE. Your 100 level ability is another AoE on top of that. You feel like it's an incentive for newer players to press those buttons as soon as they come off cooldown. Probably. That's the way I interpret that. If they tie it to your damage, it's more likely, like your personal damage, it's more likely people will actually press them. And then finally, Summoner. Here we are. It's the last class. We went through the whole thing. Took us like an hour and a half. Summoner. Damage buff from Searing Light increased from 5 to 5 from 3. A 3% AoE damage buff is just like... What? I mean, yeah, sure, it's not nothing, but why? Why is it so weak? Meager. Viper's not in the stock. Viper and Picto are not in the stock. Duration increase from 20 seconds to 30 seconds. Alright, nice. Nice. Wait, is that to allow you to get through more of your rotation after you use Searing Light? Is that why they did that? So you use Searing Light, you get your 5% buff, and it lasts a longer duration so you can get through, like, realistically get through all of your abilities as a summoner since you have so many of them. It's weaker because it lasts longer? Okay, that's fair. Potency increases at level 94. Fester upgraded to Necrotize at level 92. Man. Not Fester 2, Necrotize. 20 seconds only hit Demi-Phase. Okay. So when they add the extra 10 seconds, it lets you get through more of your rotation. Good evening, Sulu. Welcome. Follow-up to Searing Lights. Searing Flash, which is an AoE OGCD. Okay. Another instance of them upgrading an AoE raid buff with an follow-up after that. Oh, decreased to 20 from 30. Oh, I misread this. Okay, it's not increased. They're decreasing it from 20 to 30. To 20 from 30. And they're increasing the potency from 3 to 5. I misread this. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, so it's shorter duration, but higher potency. Okay, so they're adding the follow-up to Searing Light. And then you get access to Solar Bahamut, because Lunar Bahamut is a boss, right? You can't have Lunar Bahamut, it has to be Solar Bahamut. This is great. I love this. Abilities are Lux Wave, a big potency Death Flare equivalent, and Exodus, a bigger potency Akmorn equivalent. Fantastic. Start fight with Solar Bahamut. You go for Solar Bahamut, regular Bahamut, Solar Phoenix. So Solar appears every other time. You get Solar Bahamut every other rotation. Extra ability added when Solar Bahamut is summoned. Lux Solaris, which is an AoE 500 potency heal. Huh. Is this automatic? Whenever you summon Solar Bahamut, he just pops Lux Solaris, which heals everybody? Solar is on every 2 minutes. Yeah, okay, makes sense. Summoner is the exact same with more healing. Now, don't say that. You get Solar Bahamut. And you get Searing Light, you get the Searing Flash follow-up. And you get a more powerful Fester. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, that's all they're doing is they're adding another big summon. It's like the Phoenix Regen ability, and it's an actual extra button. Interesting. Okay. Okay. It's only pressable once every 2 minutes. Just, why? What? Did the summoner class designer not get the memo that they're trying to reduce the number of buttons in the game? Consolidate? To be fair though, summoners are the class with the least amount of buttons. So adding one more doesn't necessarily change much. But still, if you just add a button that you press once every 2 minutes, that's a 500 potency heal. You can't possibly think of a way to make that a bit more streamlined, really? So, thank you very much Haru, I really appreciate you putting together this doc. Thank you. This is great, sitting here and reviewing all these changes in bullet point form, consolidated in one place. This is exactly what I was looking for. So I'd have a reference somewhere where I could take a look at this. Searchable. You can go from top to bottom. You don't necessarily need to, like, watch a video for 6 minutes to get to the thing that you want. You can just jump straight to the section that interests you.